Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Coffee with Experts. My name is Victor, your new co host. And today, not only do I have an amazing person to talk to, but I also have an even greater professional who've been through a lot. Rush here with us. Rush, thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to give the first 10 seconds of who you are, and then we can start off the meeting.
Sure. First of all, Victor, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Really excited to be here. My name is Rush. I'm the founder and CEO of Sell the Trend. Sell the Trend is like a complete all-in-one dropshipping app. Basically, you can start your entire business from just Sell the Trend, and really looking forward to talk marketing and any other topics you want to talk about.
Amazing, amazing. I think once people first understand who you are and try to come up with the idea of why you're here, they're gonna see the music path that you went through in the past, the music career, everything that you had around it. And the audience wants to know, like, how that rush from drop shipping came to be since he was working with music before.
Sure. I mean, if I look at drop shipping and I look at Sell the Trend as really kind of like my second career, so to speak.
Nice.
Before starting Sell the Trend, I was a music producer, right? So, did music for Netflix and, records on Billboard and stuff like that. And, through just life and the way life kind of turns sometime, I basically had to kind of go do a kind of like a career shift. And we can talk a little bit about, why, but I had to do a little career shift and wanted to kind of keep the passion that I have for creating things. And that's really where Stellar Trend came about, is just think of it like I'm still producing, but I'm producing something else. Instead of producing music, now we're producing Stellar Trend, right? So
Amazing, amazing. And the music part about it, the production of music, I have several, let's just say, amateur DJs who are my friends. Of course, they're not producing entire musics from scratch, but I do understand their pain of getting a mix, going to a nightclub, making sure that they stand out, right? And standing out is something that you definitely need to do when we're talking about drop shipping, right?
sure.
It is one of the key aspects to be, have a good website, have a good support. For anybody starting today, 2025, okay? Another quick reply if you can. What
Sure.
would you ask them to do about starting drop shipping here?
Sure. So, second. So yeah. So obviously, in any kind of business, not just drop shipping,
Yeah.
in any kind of business, you have to stand out, right? Like you have
Yes.
to do. Success really only happens when you really put in all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, and really commit to something. And when you do that, you also have to, like you said, stand out. It's everybody likes to kind of copy. Everybody. It's easier to just kind of copy somebody's success, copy somebody's thing, which is has
Yes.
a place for it. As they say,
Yeah.
great artists steal while mediocre artists borrow, that kind of thing, right? But
Hmm.
the idea is you have to add your own spark. You have to add your own little thing to anything for two reasons, right? A, you need to stay motivated, right? If you're just copying
Yeah.
somebody, there's got to be a loss of motivation there. You're not really adding anything of yourself to something, and people can see that, right? So even if you are going out there and starting a brand new e-commerce business, and we do recommend that you follow best practices, right? Which is, in a sense, is a little bit of a copying, right? You're following the best practices. You're creating your product, your pages in a certain way. You're picking products that are proven to have some success. So you are copying to a certain extent, but then how you dress that up, what are you creating as a business? That is really where you can put in your flavor, right? You can create the page with your own little flavor. You can choose your logo. You can choose
Sure.
your name. You can the way you interact with your customers is really also part of what you want to add to your business. So there's a lot of best practice that you can do as a dropshipper, but there's also obviously some mistakes you don't want to repeat, and that's really where the best practices come from.
No, that's an amazing point because, as you said, it's not only about drop shipping. Everybody needs to stand out, and I think one of the biggest keywords I've heard and read this year is scale. To scale up. Everybody wants to scale up, right? I
Sure.
even say that myself. Like whenever I go talk to somebody, hey, do you want to scale up something? So I'm a victim to this, or am I, the true issue and the problem around? I don't know. But what I do know is that everybody goes for the same step of scalability, scaling up the company, the project, the
Sure.
product, and everything else. I imagine you had some issues while scaling up, but if you did not, please let us know how you did not. And if you did, I think everybody would like to understand how you overcame them.
Sure, sure. So here's one of the challenges that Sell the Trend. So when we first started Sell the Trend, it was an instant quote unquote hit, if you want to call it that, right? So we didn't really have any of some of the issues that you hear with SaaS products, like, oh, you got to achieve product market fit and all
Yeah.
these buzzwords. But the reality is, if you understand the market just from a basic perspective, and you're creating an application that is in demand, and you are able to add your what we talked about, what the differentiation factor, adding some of
Hmm.
your own into it, then the product market fit is not an issue. So I'll give you an example, right? So with Sell the Trend, when I first saw Sell the Trend, I realized that one of the most important parts of any kind of drop shipping business is product selection, right? You got to have
Yeah,
those
sure.
quote unquote winning products. You got to have the products that everybody's looking for, because that's what people are buying from you ultimately, right? They're not buying your website, they're not buying your ads, they're not buying you, they're buying the product
Mhm.
ultimately, right? So having those products is super important, right? So realize right off the bat that if we can find a way to decide what those products are, or to use data or some other method to figure out what those top products are, then we can have a valuable application. Now, obviously, we weren't when we started Sell the Trend in 2019. We weren't the only app providing
Yeah.
trending products, right? There was a lot of and every day there's brand new apps coming up that show you that they want to show you the best product. So there was already competition, right? But what we did and what we continue to do is provide something different than everybody else, right? When we started Sell the Trend, the way that we did our data analytics, and we were using AI before like AI was a buzzword, right? The way we did our data analytics was different than everybody else. Everybody else at the time was showing you, oh, these are the top products on Shopify, these are the top products on
Okay.
AliExpress. But what we did is we brought all of those different platforms into Sell the Trend: Shopify, AliExpress, CD Dropshipping, Amazon, Facebook ads, all those kind of things into one cohesive application. So at the end of the day, when you go to Sell the Trend to find a product, you know that that product is also popular on all of these platforms, right? So you're not just finding a product that is popular on Shopify or AliExpress or any of those platforms. It's popular across, and that's what we built our Nexus, which is our own proprietary algorithm. What we built our Nexus
Hmm.
around is finding you the best products on those applications together. So having that product market fit was never really an issue for us, and we still now in terms of the challenges. You asked what about the challenges. The challenges that we having now is that over the years we've continuously added to what Sell the Trend was, right? When we first started Sell the Trend, it was just a product discovery tool, and over the last 5 years, now Sell the Trend is really an all-in-one application, right? Like you can come to
Nice.
Sell the Trend and you can start an e-commerce store without having to do Shopify or any WooCommerce or any of these other applications. You
Great
can
to know.
start an actual e-commerce store using Sell the Trend. You can find the best products. You can fulfill your orders. You can connect with quality suppliers. You can do everything with just Sell the Trend. Now the challenge is, and the challenge I think is that for any kind of application that has already created a name for itself in one thing, is allowing people to see that, hey, we also do all this other stuff. It's still kind of shocking where we still have people come to us and saying, hey, I want to find the best products. We're like, okay, cool, okay. And then they're like, but I want to connect my Shopify store. I'm like, yeah, of course you can connect your Shopify store, but you can also use Sell the Trend. They're like, oh, really? I didn't know that Sell the Trend did that, right? Like, so that's really kind of like our challenge right now, and what we're working really hard on. And you're going to see some things in the new year where we're going to really turn the corner on that. But
Great.
that's kind of one of the challenges, is just kind of changing the narrative a little bit when somebody already has an idea of what you're all about.
So everybody, do you see? We have to keep tabs on Sell the Trend to see the new updates coming. Santa
For
Claus is
sure.
coming with more Sell the Trend gifts for us. This is amazing.
There you go.
Yes, there we go. Now, still in this subject, I did back in the days own a virtual store back in Brazil where I resold iPhones and Apple products. And the reason
Cool.
why I created that store, this was, I think, in the second year of COVID. But the reason why specifically was because we had a lot of demand, of course, because Brazilians have a pretty big capitalist side. But the prices of iPhones back in Brazil are one of the worst in the world. So there is a huge market, a gray market, let's say, of providers selling iPhones with cheaper prices that come from different countries. I can explain myself more before I get into trouble with the Brazilian government, but I'm not just saying this out loud for nothing. I remember that I created the store Leaf in Brazil, because I wanted to give an option that was cheaper to my friends and colleagues and everybody who trusted me, while at the same time making sure that they were safe, because Brazil has a lot of security issues. They were afraid of going to stores, getting an iPhone. So, it was all about that. But what about you? Why did you start the trend? What was the bit?
Yeah. So obviously, once I realized that I couldn't continue making music because of I had some medical issues where I really just couldn't really actually physically do it
Okay.
anymore, unfortunately. Then, but I also still had the passion to create, right? So, after transitioning from music, I worked with EMI Music Canada, which was a good transition for me because it was still kind of in the music business, and we created this. It's kind of like a American Idol, I don't know, or whatever, the X Factor, or whatever country you're
Okay.
in. They have something similar to that,
Yeah.
like a music
We have the
competition, but
voice
we did it
Brazil.
online, right? So it was get a recording contract with EMI Music Canada by going online and basically promoting yourself and joining our website. And the winner was going to get a recording contract. And we did award a recording contract to the winner of this competition. So it
Wow.
was kind of, but everything was done through the website, right? So people would be
Okay.
voting, they would be interacting, would be downloading. And that basically was my first kind of foray into creating, going from music into creating a big data a type of
Sure.
platform where we are really doing basically what we're doing kind of right now, which is analyzing data, putting all the pieces together, and then presenting data to people, right? So, but after that, I mean, that was a project with EMI Canada, and it was amazing. But after that, really wanted to create something that was my own, right? So I wanted to kind of transition from
Sure.
that, and that was done with a big group of people. But wanted to create something that was my own, and I was always interested in e-commerce. So e-commerce wasn't like a brand new thing for me. Oh, let me see. I was always interested
Hmm.
in e-commerce. Just kind of the whole entrepreneurial push that e-commerce gives you.
I
You can just find something and sell it. Like it's the basic
Yeah.
bare, like that's like the basic, right?
Yeah.
Commerce, right? Buy and sell, right? So you can't get any more basic than that. And that's what's so exciting about it. You can really build your own business on your own, in your basement, so to speak, with just a laptop, right? Like you don't
Yeah,
need
sure.
a whole infrastructure, right? But for me, I didn't really want to sell items, but to me it was how can I create something that people can use to improve their lives, right? And improve their experience with and basically find success on their own, right? And that's when I put together a team, found amazing dropshippers that were hitting those numbers, worked with them
Hmm.
to create the algorithm and put the entire platform together. And that really was really what the transition was. Like when you ask me why create Sell the Trend is because it's a passion, right? Sell the Trend to
Nice.
me is a passion. It's not a job. It's not a thing. And that's really why it's so important to have passion in whatever you do. So
Yes.
talking about e-commerce entrepreneurs and dropshippers, right? You have to have a passion for it. Like it's really like any job. And ideally it would be amazing if you loved it, right? Like anybody, you can do it. You can still do it if you think it's like, it's something that you want to try. Absolutely. You don't have to like be in love with it to start. But as you
Hmm.
start doing it, if you can start to love it and love the process, you're going to find success.
That's amazing. And then, like, I mean, I grew up with my grandma always saying that her food was the best because it had love in it.
So
So,
true.
I
So
resonate
true.
with what you're saying. It does
So
make
true.
sense when we have love. Things just they go better. They
For sure.
organically go better, right? And we were talking about organically. We were actually mentioning data right now. And data, as you said, and as everybody knows, is also one of the main keywords of 2024. Everybody's more concerned about data, especially with AI. It is data driven AI. Sometimes everything is either data driven or AI powered. But in terms of overall trends, not in the drop shipping market, but in the market overall, in the e-commerce one, do you see anything new for next year? And by new, I don't mean something that hasn't come out, of course, but like, do you see something that was introduced this year that can grow exponentially in the next one?
Sure. Sure. So yeah, I think the thing that you really got to invest more in 2025, if that's what you're asking, is
Yeah,
social selling, right? Like it's good to have your
agree.
sell shop, your sell the trend sell shop or your Shopify if you're on Shopify. It's good to have those, but it's super important to really engage with social selling. So, creating your TikTok shop, for example, sell on Facebook Marketplace. So social selling is definitely going to continuously grow in 2025. And
Yeah.
it's something that we recommend to everybody that comes through the doors at Sell the Trend to invest more time in it because think of it this way, social platforms are never going to go away, right? So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
proven since the early days of the first explosion of these social platforms, whether it's MySpace or whatever was Friendster or whatever the hell it was before that.
Orkut was one of the biggest in Brazil as
Exactly.
well.
Like
Yeah.
like it's only gonna grow. And think
Yeah.
of it this way: in these social platforms, they're only going to be adding more and more e-commerce features into them, right? TikTok Shop has been a huge success for TikTok, but Instagram, you can sell on Instagram, you can sell on Facebook, you can
Yes.
sell on any of these kind of things, right? So besides complementing your own quote unquote brand, it's super important to really put your stake in the ground and create a brand and create your own
Agree.
brand. Have your own store, right? It's important to have your own store because think of it this way: your own store is yours and nobody can take it from you.
Yeah.
TikTok Shop, it's great, these social platforms, but at the end of the day, they own the platform, right? At any point, they can
Yes.
shut down your store, and then you're starting from zero again. You have to start from zero. So it's important to have your own store, feed the traffic back to your own store, sell on TikTok, but also always feed the traffic back to your own domain, right? To your own store. So you always have that channel. Build your email list. But definitely social selling, I think would be something that's everybody should really be investing more time in 2025.
And not even in this space that you're talking about, but even I, as a salesperson on LinkedIn, always hear about people saying the importance of social selling on
100%.
LinkedIn as me being the product, me being around instead of just calling people, knocking in their DMs, like actually putting myself out there, the social
100%.
selling part of it, so that I build authority. A lot of things that us SEO lovers enjoy, we can easily obtain with social selling. And then I 100% agree. I would even ask you for the holiday season, the upcoming now, like Christmas, if there were any, or like out of the ordinary strategies that you would recommend for e-commerces. But then again, everybody's using AI, everybody's using as many tools as possible. Everybody just knows that they need more ads, more SEO, more everything, right? We all need more everything. But then again, not everybody has the will or the power or the financial status to have everything. So, any entrepreneurs wanting to scale from drop shipping to build their own brand, which happens a lot, right? They go
Sure.
out from just reselling, being the marketplace, they own everything now. And especially back in Brazil, this is ever growing. People want to become the owners of everything as much as possible. They don't want to depend on corporate jobs or governmental jobs. For those people who want to do the jump, and with you knowing several stories regarding dropshipping, anything in particular that you've seen being done over and over and over that should be avoided at all costs?
Yeah. So we've seen hundreds of thousands of people come through the Sell the Trend doors, right? So we've seen
Hmm.
super successful stores. We've seen stores that are not super successful. We've
Yeah.
seen, drop shippers. We've talked to hundreds of thousands of drop shippers. We know what the challenges are and we know what the successes are, right? We know what
Hmm.
works and what doesn't work, right? So, if you're talking about some of the mistakes that we've seen drop shippers do, you know, just off the top of my head, product selection, right?
Okay. Yeah. It's
Choosing the
maybe.
wrong products, choosing products
Yeah.
that were popular maybe a year ago and expecting them to work again, right? So, I mean, there are
People want
certain
to.
situations, evergreen products, some products will work every single
Yeah.
winter, they'll work every single summer, but I mean, those are specific products, right? Pricing. I mean, we've seen so many drop shippers price items the wrong way, right? And that's why on Sell the Trend, we have a recommended price, right? It behooves, unless you know better, it behooves you to use that price that we recommend, right? We've seen, we know what the sweet spot is for the price, but we've seen people try to, take let's say an AliExpress price or a supplier price and add maybe $2 to it and expect to turn a profit, right? So because they're thinking, you price it low, you'll get more people. What the reality is, that is 100% not the right strategy, right? It's not this right strategy.
Hmm.
You need to have margins, right? You need to have enough money that when you sell that product, you need to have enough margins because you need to advertise that product. Now, whether you're
Sure.
going out there and paying money for Facebook ads or influencers, or you're literally doing SEO, right? You're writing blogs, you're creating all that infrastructure. You need a margin, right? You need to be able to
Sure.
be making a profit, right? So another important one is talking about how to scale. Going back to that, it's super
Hmm.
important to make sure your customer service is impeccable, right? So that can
Yeah.
make
I
you
agree.
or break you, right? So customer service, and people forget about that because they're thinking, I'm just going to sell. Let me sell 100 items a day,
First I
and I
sell,
don't
then
care
I
if customers
handle.
complain.
Yeah.
Forget about the emails. Like, we'll
Yeah.
deal with that tomorrow. Customers complaining about the product. I don't care. That can absolutely ruin your business because listen,
Yeah.
customers
Sure.
love to do one thing more than saying, singing your praises, they love to complain about you online, right? So you
Oh
don't want to,
yes,
you want to, that's why, we're proud of our, our online presence, because you go online and you go on Trustpilot and any of these other things, and we have an excellent reputation because we
amazing.
take care of our customers,
Congratulations.
and we take care of our customers for two things. A, we want to build a proper business because we love
Sure,
Sell the Trend, and B, we want to take care of the people that are paying our paying us money, right? That's the key,
sure.
right? And that's the same thing with you. You need to take care of your customers. They're the ones who are allowing you to buy a car or
Yeah,
food or any of that kind of stuff, right? So it's
100%
super
agree.
important. So there's no reason to scale unless you have certain things in place. Making sure your customer support is perfect, and making sure your supply chain is perfect. If you're trying to go from a
Yes.
store to a brand, you need to make sure that you're able to satisfy the demand, right? So making sure you pick the right suppliers, and we have some resources for that on Seller Trend as well.
Do you see, in no way whatsoever, I want this conversation to be about it, but do you see SEO as a possible option or no, sorry, or path for these entrepreneurs for a long tail result? Because as we all know, SEO is not for tomorrow. Links are not for tomorrow. Things take time here in our market. But I imagine that you yourself went through SEO already, had some SEO efforts, links, articles. If you could just easily tell us how's the life of a drop shipping SaaS in SEO terms, that would be fantastic. Out of curiosity, again, feel free to share whatever you
Sure.
want.
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely. So, yeah, so just to kind of, talking about Sell the Trend SEO efforts, and I can also talk about the drop shippers, what they should be doing for SEO.
please,
So
you have the stage.
for Sell the Trend, I mean, so put it this way. In any kind of business, you can only focus on certain amount of things. We need to get good at certain things. You can't just dabble in a bunch of things and say, oh, we're going to do a little ads, a little SEO, a
Yeah,
little this, a little that. You really need to take a channel and really knock it out of the ballpark, right? So
yeah,
for SEO, same thing with SEO channel. You really need to be creating content. So SEO is about two things, right? Actually three things. You got the website, the way it works
yes,
functionally, the way it works. You got the inbound links. People are talking about you. Are they not talking about
correct.
you? And obviously the content that is on the website.
Exactly.
What are the search engines coming to your website for, right? So
Exactly.
there is almost unlimited strategies. And I know you're big at SEO, and there's unlimited strategies for SEO.
Yeah,
It's all about picking the ones that are going to produce you the results, right? So you can write a billion blogs, but if they're all terrible, then nobody's going to want to stay on the blog to read them. And then those signals come back to Google easily saying, hey, they're writing terrible blogs. Nobody cares about these blogs, right? So it's super important to, if you want to boil it down, to invest in something and do it the best that you can. It's not good enough. It is not good enough to just write blogs, right? If you say, oh, I'm just going to
agree.
write crap blog and I'm hoping people are gonna Google is gonna send me all this traffic. And now pivoting to drop shippers, it's if you have a passion for something. Let's say you have a pet niche store. You really want to be talking about pet products, right? And you want to be
Yeah,
writing blogs about, what are the best beds for Christmas for your loved dog or something like that, right? So
made a
you want to be writing
collab
blogs
with a
about that,
vacuum
and you can be a
cleaner.
listicle, right? It can be a listicle about
Yeah,
all the different things, and all these products will lead back to your store, right?
exactly.
But it's important to be writing great blogs. Now, with the rise of AI, you can obviously augment that. I mean, we don't necessarily rely on AI for writing our blogs, but you can definitely cut some corners there as long as you're having an actual real person read through the content, making sure that it's not garbage. Because, and or if you have some super prompts, please send them over. But
Okay, I'll
making
share.
sure
I'll
that,
share
that
later.
yeah, perfect, amazing. So making sure that you have good. See, listen, at the end of the day, garbage in, garbage out, right? You put in
Yeah,
garbage, you're gonna get garbage results, right? So, and
sure.
if you can't write the blogs yourself, you have to hire somebody, right? And you don't have to make $1 million. You can get really good writers that are not gonna break the bank, and just include that as
Agree.
part of your budget, right? And that's why, going back to what I was saying, you need to have a buffer of revenue and profit margins when you're selling these products. You don't want to just price the product $2 over the cost from the supplier. You want to put some buffer there so that you can pay a writer to write some amazing blogs for you, so you can get some of that SEO traffic heading back to
Sure.
your website. So definitely recommended to do SEO for your dropshipping
Great.
business.
Great. You hear everybody? It wasn't me who was telling you all to do SEO. It was Rush here. I didn't say anything at all. Now, to wrap this up, and I wish I didn't because I'm loving this conversation, and I genuinely say that thank you so much for being here again.
Absolutely, thank you.
I'm actually living kind of a childhood dream of talking to people like you because I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I never had the effort put into it, you know? It was those back in our mind projects like if everything fails, you start your YouTube channel. So the inner kid inside of me is really like glad and happy to be at this conversation.
Awesome.
But what about your inner kid? Like, is there something in the personal rush, in the kid rush, that you would like to share? Maybe some traits you had as a kid that I don't know got you into music production and then later into, Sell the Trend, or anything in particular you might want to, just take a look back.
Sure. I mean, you're trying to get deep here, right
Yeah.
into this
No,
conversation.
because
So think of it this way. Absolutely, I love it. So
yeah,
no, I absolutely love it. So think of it this way. At the end of the day, what are we all doing here, right? We are always, listen, you can, how can I say this? Like, I don't see myself ever retiring because what the hell am I going to do with
yeah,
my time, right?
yeah.
Like I see people the whole idea is you want to wake up in the morning and feel like you are doing something worthwhile, right? You are doing something worthwhile with the time that we have here, whether it was music, I remember a comment I was on one of the forums, that somebody, when I was doing music, somebody said something like, I wake up every day and I play this one song, which was one of my songs, and it's like how I start my whole day, and it just puts my whole day in the right frame.
Uh-huh.
And that's really what I did music for at the end of the day, right? I
Nice.
did it because I had a passion for it. I wanted to show people, what I'm capable of doing. But at the same time, it's what are we doing it for? We're doing it for people, right? For the effect that we have on people. Same thing with Sell the Trend. Like, listen, I could do anything. I could, if it wasn't music, I could be doing something else. But I wanted to create something that is going to have a positive impact. The same way that my music had a positive impact on people, and I still, since my music's still on Netflix, so on a TV show, people are still engaging with it to this day. So it's not even something in the past. Every day, there's more messages about it on social media and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and people loving it. Same thing that I have with Sell the Trend is I want to create something that people are going to find value in, right? Something that is going to actually change people's lives, and not just something that is
Nice.
going to generate money, because you can generate money with almost anything, right? But that's really kind of what it comes down to is, if you go back, what is the kid of me thinks is that I'm still doing the exact same thing, still doing the same thing that I was
Mm-hmm.
doing when I was a kid, 15 years old, making music till now, is still doing the exact same thing, just trying to create something that people are going to love and people are going to really find value in.
Well, I don't think I can top up my question after the reply you gave me. Okay, so if you don't mind, I think this is it for today. Rush, this is the third time that I'm gonna say thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. I do have actually one last question,
Sure.
which might be the most important one in this entire conversation. Favorite genre of music of yours?
Of course. Listen, I love all types of music. Even country
Okay.
music, to me, that was not really like something that I gravitated towards. If you listen to
Hmm.
some country music, it's pretty great. There's some really
I
great
agree.
songs. But to me, think of it this way. I also have data going through in the back of my mind. So
Yeah.
my choice of music has always been electronic music, right? I love
Same.
electronic music
Same.
because it's got that provided that it's a great song, right? You got to have a great song. You can't just
Of
be,
course.
or a great beat, right? A beat can tell a
Sure.
story in itself, right? So electronic music for me. And if you ever want to, come to Toronto, we will definitely go out for sure.
Oh God, this is the best invitation ever. I'm actually keeping an eye not on Toronto, but now I will on Rome for next year because on June, Rufus Du Sol, an Australian band, one of the biggest, they're gonna be
Yes,
doing an European tour, and after they're gonna be doing an American tour. So do take a look at their website because they are coming to
absolutely,
America and Canada. Like
absolutely,
Rufus for
absolutely. That's
me,
awesome. I love Rufus.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, no, same. Everybody talks about Inner Bloom. Yes, their most favorites, their most well recognized song. But I always recommend always from the last album, the last music. It is such a piece of art.
Oh, I love it. Got to check it out. Got to check
Yeah,
out their latest
yeah,
album for
check
sure.
it out. Check it out. And I'll leave you to it then. Once again, this is
Thank you
Victor
so
from Need
much.
Coffee with
Thank you so much for
with
this.
experts. This is Rush. You're the best. I really
Thank you. Thank
appreciate
you.
you
It was my
being here,
pleasure.
Rush.
My pleasure.
We'll keep in touch, guys. If you have any doubts about Rush, if you want to talk about Rush, if you want to see Sell the Trend, everything's gonna be mentioned in the post, in the description. We'll always make sure to highlight and mention the guests that we have here. Until the next time, may you all take care. This is Victor talking to you soon. Bye bye.